Radio Rahim here with Frank Warren in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I seem to be saying that quite often, maybe even more than I say London these days. We've had a tremendous year of boxing. 12 months it'll be by the time we get Usyk and Fury here in the Kingdom. I as many years as you've covered or really promoted this sport, and I've covered it, would you consider this the best year of boxing we've had?
Yeah. Without a doubt, I think it's opened up so much what's happening here, and boxing being part of the Riyadh festival, Riyadh season, part of what's happening in this country. I mean, it's everywhere you look, there are cranes and something's being built, and I feel like that with the boxing. It's like this is the foundations are being put down here to turn it into a better sport. There's been a lot of cooperation between the promoters. Fighters are getting extremely well paid, and the fans are getting these super cards that are being put together, and we've got quite a few more of them coming up in the next year, which is brilliant.
Now, there's always been a debate as to whether or not it's England or America that is the hub of boxing, the home of boxing, who has the most avid fans and pays the most money. Could we be looking at Saudi really bigfooting both continents?
Well, I think there is a big probability of that happening. I mean, I think the fans in the UK. I don't think there are fans like that anywhere in the world. I genuinely do believe the way we and I'll say we as a Brit, how we support our guys and get behind them. America, it's obviously because of the casinos and the financial clout that they bring in, putting big site fees up. Obviously the size of the population, how that works out for pay-per-view and so forth, that's made that obviously a major destination for most of the big fights when they take place. But I think Saudi now is going to be the place because the season is not reliant on income from casinos or anything. It's about bringing big attractions here. For the whole of the period of time. It's a multicultural season in as much that it's music, it's entertainment, it's various sports, even equestrian events now they're having here, Formula One, tennis, all these things are happening and boxing's part of it, and there is an investment from the kingdom into making this a sports destination. And one thing I know about this place since I've been coming here and found out about it, nothing is done by halves, and the proof in the pudding was in the last show when there was no venue there 90 days before the event took place, and then we had this marvelous stadium built with a state-of-the-art stadium with a brilliant infrastructure, and that tells you what they're all about.
It really rings with me when you say, all these promoters and the cooperation between you. This could be done anywhere in the world, really, if promoters could get together and make a card like we're seeing on Saturday night.
It couldn't, because it's not sustainable anywhere else in the world. How are you going to generate the income to make it work? It just wouldn't work. Financially, it wouldn't work. It works here because it is funded by the Riyadh season, and because of that, there is a certain amount of
there's enough money to go around.
Yeah, there's money put into it because of what it does for what it brings as an attraction worldwide for Saudi, and that's what it is. I mean, there's some ways, in the States, a casino put money up to attract the high rollers and so forth to, for a big event, and maybe the prestige of putting the event on. Whereas in the UK, we don't have no casino backing, no government backing, nothing. What we do, we have to get out there, promote our asses off, and sell tickets, bang the drum, and hopefully it works from there. But this is through His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, this has just been a revelation for me, especially at this stage of my life. I never expected anything like this, and the cooperation between Queensbury, my son George is the CEO, Spencer Brown at Gold Star, His Excellency's team, Dr. Rakan, all of them, it's just been phenomenal. And to get it to where we got it to, between us all, is something else. And then working with other promoters who've come on board.
Yeah.
You know, such as Matchroom and Wasserman's and all the other various guys there, Bomb Squad. It's just been brilliant.
I put this down to Eddie yesterday, and I'll ask you the same. So once this Kumbaya moment is done in Saudi, when we turn to London and, you know, Los Angeles and New York, are the knives back out? Is this just...
I can't be honest with you. You know, I was just talking to someone about it. You know, what I've noticed the last couple of days, mostly when we talk about knives, the knives are mostly out because of social media. It's clickbait stuff, isn't it? You know, Warren says this, excuse me, about Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn says that Warren's an arsehole, whatever it may be. It may be true in some ways, I don't know, but most of it is clickbait, and we respond to it. Some is done in tongue-in-cheek. Some, I think sometimes we both hit a nerve, and you respond to it because that's what people do. But that's what it is. I mean, in the old days when I was promoting, when I started out, there was the cartel there, Mickey Duff and Jarvis Aster and the rest of them. We didn't get on. We did in the end get on, but we didn't get on. But there was none of this nonsense that goes down now. It's all a product of social media. That's what it is. I think I don't think so much you, but I think a few of these social media companies, what you want to call them, I think they go out of business. They're not going to get the hits they would get. but are the knives going to be out? Look, we have contracts. We're competitive. We're no different than a soccer team or a football team in America, or any organisation, Formula One racing teams. You have rivalry, and that's competitive. That's because we're competitive. We're in a competitive business. We have our respective contracts that we have with TV companies. So we're with different TV companies. Both those TV companies want the best, so we got to strive to deliver them the best. We've got our respective clients, the boxers. We've got to strive to do the best for them, which we do. Both of us try to do all promoters do. Certainly, we do try to do the best for our fighters. And by doing the best for our fighters, that's why we're here. We're here because the fighters have an opportunity to earn such big money, such big purses, life-changing money for them, which is brilliant because they're in the most dangerous of sports. We're here because it's good for our business, and I'm here for all those reasons, money and everything, but also because I love it. It's just such fun. It's hard work. Like, last night we didn't get back here till 3:30 in the morning. Night before 2:00 in the morning, and we're up early. So we don't just swan around, sitting around a pool or whatever. I mean, it's really hard work. Lots of traveling, lots of hotel rooms, but the end result is getting these events together, and events like this, which, I mean, I've never even seen an event like this with all these 8 top liners on there. It's brilliant. And
the fans are really getting real value for dollar. They've been appreciative, certainly of a card that is this stacked, this deep down in the card. It does, make a note of the fact that really we haven't seen a championship fight at the main event level here yet. In this run of this year, when it's been the biggest. And maybe is that you feel like we're in a new kind of era of boxing where the championships and whatnot are not as revered as they once were? We can make these kind of like...
No, I can hear I understand where you're coming from. I mean, the fight everybody wants to see is Tyson and Usyk. Thankfully, that's on 17th of February, here again, part of the Riyadh season. So the fans do want to see those type of events. I certainly want to see those type of events. But if you can't deliver, if you're not in a position to deliver, I mean, Tyson actually and Usyk was supposed to be on Saturday, but Tyson, that fight was much tougher than expected, and he needed a bit of time out. So if you can't do it, you've got to then be constructive and come up with a card, and that's what's happened here. And it has been very constructive, and that's been led, in a lot of ways, and I've got to say it again, by His Excellency. And it's not like brown nosing, as everybody seems to think. I keep saying that. It's a fact. You can't. I'm not going to sit and say, you know what, this is all down to me. It's not down to me. It's down to a concerted effort between all of us, led by His Excellency, because His Excellency has got vision, and he's a massive boxing fan. I can't tell you, a huge boxing fan. I can't even tell you the conversation we had last night about a particular fighter. He pulled a fighter out of the blue I said, we want him on the card. And I looked at him, it just shocked me. And I rang the kid. I said, I want to tell this kid while we're there. And I rang him, and he went, what? And he was so shocked by it. I'm not going to tell you his name now. We will announce it in the new year. But it was such a moment. And I thought, gee, I mean, you must be watching everything that's on TV because he's not at the show. You must be watching. So he's a massive fan of boxing, and that is refreshing because you go into, look, boxing's a business. You go into a TV company to do something, whatever, and it's a business. It's another sport. This is a passion. It's a passion for His Excellency, and it's a passion certainly for me, and I've got to say for Hearn and probably most of the promoters, but it's our passion as well as the way we get a living. But I just feel that when you can put a show on, as you just said, without a major, well, there are title fights on there, but not headed up by a title fight, but between, two really, really well-known heavyweight fighters in two tough fights, that tells you that there is a market there for him. That tells you that if you build an event, not just a one fight or two fight, sticking 8 fights on, that's a bit of a formula. You couldn't do it under normal circumstances.
Well, certainly under normal circumstances, we would never expect to see at the top of the same card anywhere Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua if they weren't facing each other. The amount of heavyweight talent on this card being headed by those two, I know that Fury and Wilder and Joshua, they all give each other a lot of stick, but do you feel like the top of this card is also the top of the heavyweight division, save the undisputed matchup? Yeah,
I mean, take Tyson and Usyk out of it, definitely.
So looking at Joshua first and his challenge, do you see really in either of these top shows a potential for upset?
Yeah. Look, they're 2 ex-champions. Okay, 2 ex-champions. You look at what they've done over the last 2 or 3 years, 3 years, and you think to yourself, well, you see they've got losses on their records. They got losses, and they've both been stopped during that time. With Joshua, he's in with a guy who's on a good run at the moment. I know he's got his only loss was against Tyson. I think, I know Tyson was badly cut. Tyson did win it on points, and I think the cut hampered him. But other than that, he's won everything, and he's coming off a good win against Gassiev. He had a good win against him. When in talking to him, he's very, very confident. And why wouldn't he be confident? He's suddenly got into a position where he has the opportunity to upset the odds as far as the general feelings concerned or the view consensus is concerned, and then become top part of the top echelon of boxing. If he beats Joshua, then that's not a bad name to have on your resume, is it? That's a great, and it gives him a seat at the
certainly
top
level
table.
him up.
Joshua can't afford to lose. If he loses, he's down there. He's gone right down the pecking order. What does he do if he loses? It's not going to be a good thing for him. And it's the same thing for Deontay. He's had 1 win in 2 years and 1 fight in 2 years. Hellenius, he bombed him out as he would do in a round. Coming off of the 3-fight trilogy with Tyson, which he didn't win any of them. So you look at that and you think to yourself, he can't afford to lose. He's got to do what he's got to do. He's fighting an ex-world champion in Joe Parker, who's had a good win last time out, and Tyson's mate and trains him most of the time. So you've got to think, Tyson will be advising him and so forth because he's been in with a guy. I mean, I thought I was going to get married at one time, the amount of times they fought each other. But the bottom line is, for all of them, for both of those 2 guys, those ex-world champions, for them, these fights are jeopardy.
At the top of this division, there are questions about really all 4 of these guys: Wilder, Joshua, Usyk, Fury. So first starting with Joshua, do you take much account of how people are analyzing his demeanor this week? No. So
listen, I've never been around him in a fight week. I don't know the guy that well. So no, I don't take notice. everybody's different. Some got you. I mean, you interview guys. You interview Tyson Fury. All he'll be doing is laughing and joking all week. He does that. That's his demeanour. That's how he is. You look at, I mean, Joshua. It seems to me he's pretty surly. You know, I don't know, maybe he's in fight zone, whatever it may be. He hates everybody, and that's how he gets himself into a frame of mind to go and win his fights. You look at Gerald Miller. He could be a stand-up comedian. I mean, everybody's got different demeanour. None of it matters. You know why? Because once that bell goes, whatever's going to be is down to them.
On Wilder, there's been some criticism and curiosity about him taking ayahuasca and finding peace with these psychedelics.
I read that.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. I mean, it's banned in the UK. The substance. Yeah. So on the article I read in one of the British papers, it's not. They're not allowed to sell it in the UK. So I don't know. He obviously was in a bad place, and he's gone and tried to find something to give his. I don't know. He's done some soul searching to give himself some peace. Maybe reset his mind. Who knows? But he feels it's happened and it's worked for him. We will see. Again, we will see. He's in a tough fight.
Now, ayahuasca may be illegal in the United Kingdom, but it is not a banned substance, I don't think, in boxing. And we've got a guy on the card who has had his difficulties with banned substance. He's up against Dubois. This is a very, very important fight for Dubois. Are you concerned at all about Big Baby Miller's character as a fighter and he's willing to come in and fight fair?
Let's just say how it is. I mean, he was cheating. He was taking PEDs, banned substances. He's been caught on a number of occasions. He was banned from boxing. He's been relicensed, and I do have this view. I'm not a policeman. It's not my job to police the sport. That's the job of the commissions and the governing bodies. That's their role. That's what they get paid for, and they should administrate those rules correctly at all times. He's paid his price. He was banned for a period of time. He's now relicensed by the Nevada Athletic Commission, who are a very respected commission. I think they're all in the same esteem as the British Boxing Board of Control. So he should be allowed to fight. If he was in prison and he'd have beat somebody up and gone to prison, got 5 years and come out of prison, you'd wipe the slate clean. You're supposed to be able to get on with your life. If the punishment was for taking drugs, and this is how I feel about drugs, and I'll tell you how I do feel about it. If the punishment was you get caught and you're banned, you got a 5-year ban. If you do it again, you don't come back in. That's fine. I'll go with that because that's how I feel about it. But I'm not a policeman. That's not my job. My job is to find the opportunities for my fighter and try and do the best thing for him. So Miller's there. Daniel's coming off of a loss, and you know my feelings about that. We've had many discussions about the alleged low blow and so forth, and the time that the referee gave Usyk to recover, even though Usyk wanted to fight on. I look at all that, and the fallout of that fight, where it was, Daniel didn't show a lot of heart or desire after the referee did what he did, and I get that, and I get where people are coming from sometimes. I'd like to see him grit his teeth more, but he just felt like, I had various conversations with him about it, and he said he felt like he was fighting the referee and Usyk. And I get that, and I do understand it, but it don't matter. We all fight. We fight every day in life, and you've got to get on with it. You've got to grit your teeth and get on with it. So for this fight for him, he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's got a lot of pressure from the general public, sections of the general public, some boxers who said some pretty, I think in some cases, pretty, nasty things, nastiness, and some of it's probably not so much to him, it's directed at me for some reason. But that's a way of, because they're arseholes, that's the way of doing it. But I think that for him now, he has to, he's under a lot of pressure, but he's got to deliver. And I was quite pleasantly surprised at the press conference yesterday when he actually shut him up for just a little period when he jumped up and
he had a bar there.
He did, because I see he looks around as he said it, and because I was shocked, and I see Gerald's face, his sort of jaw went, he sort of had that look about him, but it was great, and it's all part of it. And I think at the end of the day, we got a situation where another fighter's got even though he's at a much younger age than the 2x world champion, where his career could be seriously hurt and seriously affected if he doesn't win this fight. He will go, slide right down the pole.
And lastly, of course, you've had conversations upon conversations about Fury's performance last time out here in Saudi. So people thought he lost. Well, most people thought he won. Certainly here they did. But the criticism is all coming from the outside as usual. As of late, it's been coming from the inside. We've heard John Fury's words about Tyson's camp. He says it's a circus. He's concerned that the champ will be beaten in the undisputed fight. Has any of these concerns come up in your mind?
Well, look, of course they do. If I hear these things, of course. I mean, I'm not in the training camp every day. I'm not even in there any day, to be quite honest. It's their training camp. Tyson's a very, very sensible guy. Very, very sensible. John's his dad, and as a dad, he cares about his son, obviously, and he cares about what's going on around him, and that's his view. Harry's come about with that view. I mean, that's between him and his boy. But Tyson's known for, he's like, what's Tyson now? 35 years of age. So it's not like he's some young kid starting out. He's very switched on. When he took Ben Davison on, everybody said, well, who's Ben Davison? Why is he taking him on as a trainer? And Ben did fairly well. And then he dropped Ben, stopped that partnership. And everybody said, why has he done that? And he took on Sugar, and everybody was saying, who's Sugar Hill? Correct?
Right, that's true.
And then he comes out and has this devastating knockout against Deontay. So Tyson's not a slouch. He knows what he's doing. If anything was wrong in the last camp, then they're savvy enough to put it right. I hope. I believe. And for me, Tyson sparring partners I've spoken to all said Tyson didn't come up with one excuse saying, "Oh, I'd hurt my elbow." It was a bad camp. He said he trained hard as he could, and he did. But he fought a guy who he didn't know at the end of the day who he was going in with. And all I kept saying is my mantra, and I'm boring everybody again saying it, this fella is a big puncher. This fella is a winner. UFC, it's not like he's not some computer nerd who's decided he wants to take up boxing. He's not some topless model or whatever it is who's suddenly going to fight another topless model and all the followers are going to watch it. He's a proper trained, honed, fighting man. And what surprised me was how he came out and how he shapes up in that fight. Because he shapes up as a fighter, he boxed well, he was switch hitting, and he would have given anybody a problem in the top 10, in my opinion, that night. And what we never had was any footage of it. So you can't study him. Tyson has studied and seen enough of Usyk to know what he has to do.
Now, to be fair, we've broken down the mental state of Joshua, of Dubois even. All of these fighters, Wilder included, have had to defend where they're coming from in that space. We've seen that Fury has had his issues when he was at the top last time, the tippy top, with remaining mentally stable, staying on the course, keeping focus. As a promoter and his promoter, knowing how things can repeat, history can repeat, are you concerned or even looking to making sure that this doesn't repeat now that he's right back at the precipice of being at the top of the sport once again?
He's been at the top of the sport.
Undisputed,
Well, I get that, but he's been the number one heavyweight since the Wilder fight. I mean, since he knocked Wilder out, no doubt about that. Am I concerned? I'm concerned about Tyson all the time, as I would be for the mental well-being of most fighters, all fighters that we work with. Excuse me. Tyson, you're right, all those things you're right, but the difference between Tyson and every one of those you mentioned, he keeps winning.
It's fair.
And he's not got to come back and say, I lost that fight because despite that, he wins.
I would say the same thing is true for you, Frank.
All those mental issues I got.
But you keep winning. And I would say this last 12 months and the few months to come, that appears to be something that's going to continue. We in the boxing community have had a hell of a year, and maybe you've had the best.
We've had a great time.
I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it, always giving me time when we're on these weeks. And I can't wait for Saturday night. What a tremendous card. We'll be back in a few months for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. This is really my best year of boxing, and I'd say maybe your best year as a promoter. So let's share it together.
That's good.
Ring out 2023 and ring in 2024 at the top table, as you put it. Radio Rahim with Frank Bricktop Warren.
The best.
Thank you, sir.